Hi, this is Matt with the MCM Outdoor Show. So, got a bit of a first impressions review today. After a couple of camps with Chris, a couple of hammock camps, a couple of tarp camps, it's become apparent that some of my kit isn't up to standard. So, we've gone ahead and we've organised some kit to help us with some future camps. So I'm going to go through a bit of an intro today as to how they look. So, the kit that we're going to be looking at today. We've got Easthills Outdoors, we've got a tarp, and we've got the Jungle Explorer double bug net hammock. So these have arrived already. I've yet to take them out, so we're going to do a little bit of a first impressions, get them set up in the MCM test site, and we'll give a bit of a first impressions, get them all set up ready for a camp, and then obviously we can follow this up with a in the woods follow-up. So let's see what they look like, shall we? Okay, so first impressions, quite a big pack size. I mean, the tarp itself's absolutely fine, that's a usual pack size for a tarp. But in terms of the hammock, if you compare this to kind of your DD tarps, there's a little bit more going on. But what we do have to consider is there is, in fact, let's have a little look straight away. Oh, fabulous. So what it's got is these tree slings, I believe these are called. So this will be able to set them up on the trees here. So that's pretty helpful. So we've got two tree slings in here, and then we will have in here as well, so it's completely fold out, and we've got the mosquito net as well. So let's take it out and have a quick look, see what we're dealing with in terms of the fabric. So it's already come, decent level of a carabiner in there. Yeah, so it's one of those where it completely folds out, and then the pocket itself, oh, fabulous. So we've got some bungee cord in there as well. All been bunched. We've got a decent carabiner both ends of that. And then the mosquito net, it could be removable, which would be incredibly helpful. So we'll have a little look at that once it's set up. But first impressions, it's kind of your standard parachute material. I believe it's just a single skin. Not too bad at all, and it is quite helpful that it folds into itself. So we'll have a good play with that in just a second. And then the tarp itself comes in its own bag. You get with it a small bag, and in the bag we can assume we're going to get our pegs and the usual guy line set up in there as well. So your standard peg, yeah, so your usual stainless steel pegs and your standard kind of parachute cord guy lines in there as well with the adjusters, which is fabulous. Let's have a little look here. So it looks to be some kind of mirrored surface, which bodes well. First impressions, in terms of hooks and guy lines, we've got standard middle point and side point. I like the way that that's been sewn into place. And the key point for me is whether it's got one right in the centre, which it doesn't look like it does. So that is going to make it slightly more difficult, because it means we're going to have to lie that on top of the guy line instead of hanging it to a guy line. But first impressions, slightly big pack size, looks all right. I think we need to get it set up in the trees and have a good look at it in situ. So let's do that now. Okay, so I've started putting setup up. We've gone with the tarp up first. Obviously that makes it easier should it be raining to put your hammock up in the dry. So with this tarp, it's provided you with these kind of loops here, and then these standard kind of guy lines that have one of these kind of plastic toggles on it. Now you can modify that and kind of create your own if you want. Essentially you've got the eye line, so you can do what you want. I find these quite annoying to store because they get tangled and you end up with a bit of a bird's nest. Plus I would have preferred a little loop in here so that you can just set up one ridge line right the way across and then have this attached onto the ridge line with that loop, this loop and this loop, as opposed to just having one here and here. I find that with this as it is, it tends to sag in the middle when it gets wet. Now at the minute what I can see is one solid kind of piece of stitching. It's almost like a spine, if you will, which seems to be doing the job so far. So I think ultimately this is going to need a bit of a test with some wind and some rain. But all in all, at first impressions, the tarp does feel of good quality. It seems to have some kind of like a shiny coating underneath. I don't know if that's some kind of temperature assistance. Looking at this setup here, I would need to guy that one out off to the side, and they've provided enough pegs to do that. So that would be something for the future. Now I'm going to go ahead and set up the hammock, but just to make it easy for you to see, I'm going to take this side of the tarp down and fold it over, just so that it's a little bit easier to see the setup. Okay, so we've got the hammock up, and as you can see, it's got a mosquito net, which I've just found out is removable if you want it. Midge net, mosquito net, whatever you want to call it. So inside the hammock itself, you've got a single like parachute material base, quite thin that, so you know we're going to need to back that up with an underquilt if it's any less than 10 degrees, I would say personally. You've got the bag that it comes into the side, and then you also have two of these little phone holders, so one just at this end, and then I did see another one, yep, there it is, and then another one just at this end as well. So we'll get in, we'll have a little look at it inside. So from inside the hammock, as usual, good bit of size in here, so you can find that diagonal sleeping position to get a little bit more of a kind of level position. The mosquito net, for me, I would probably modify this and put some kind of tent peg or something just to kind of spread this out, because it's kind of, you know, it's like you're in a sock basically. But again, that's removable, so I would say probably at least 8 out of 10 times I don't think this mosquito net would be used. Now for me, when I do go hammock camping, one thing that I do miss is that sensation of zipping myself in that you get when you go into a tent at night. So this does provide that, which I think is a great idea. And then obviously if you buy any water source, the midges over here can be quite annoying, so this is pretty important. I'd be interested in knowing the kind of temperature retaining properties, just to see if this does aid at all in keeping any heat in, or whether you could modify it and put something over the top. But again, you don't want to minimise your airflow, but so far feels pretty comfortable. Like I say, really thin material, but yeah, no complaints so far. Let's add in the underquilt attachments. Okay, so we have our tarp set up just behind, and that's going to give us a good opportunity to do some first impressions and first setup of the Onewind Underquilt. Now this has been recommended to me by Chris. He's given me some positive feedback from some of the Onewind kit in the past. Now, one of the reasons this has been recommended is I've had some of the coldest nights I've ever had sleeping in a hammock before. And obviously when you're sleeping in a hammock, underneath you there's nothing to stop all of that air dropping out. Even with something like a sleep mat, as you lie on it, you kind of compress that down. And one of the ways that you keep warm when you're camping is to create that pocket of warm air around you. So the underquilt has been recommended to kind of make that really cold weather hammock camping much more bearable. I believe Chris has got one of these himself. So I've never set one up before, so you're about to see an amateur set one up for the first time. Now I like the fact it does come with a compression strap, which would make packing a little bit easier. So kind of packs very similar to, tell you what, it comes out both sides. That could be very positive, because what this will mean, it will mean I can kind of hook it up and then pull it out. So rather than taking it out, I'm going to try doing that. I'm going to try and figure this out first time by myself. We've got some little carabiners here. I'm not using any instructions, so I'm just going to see if I can get this set up as a beginner in a safe environment. It isn't raining anymore. It is pretty cold today, but let's see what it looks like when I set it up over there. So as you can see, super quick to set that up. One little carabiner here, drag it across, other carabiner goes in there, and it's sat in position. And one thing that I've noticed straight away is there is these kind of buckle attachments here, which you use to kind of one-handed pull and get it into position. But what I can see is one of those is missing, I think, from the bottom, because in this bottom section here, over on this side, we have another one of those as it comes up just here. So I think I might need to ask for another one of those. We'll just modify it and get it reattached onto our carabiner. So it comes with these toggles here, and we can use these to kind of button yourself in and really create kind of a warm enclosed area. And what I can also see that I was just looking at are these kind of loops here, and my assumption is that you can use these to kind of peg yourself up, carabiner yourself up to your guy line to really enclose it right the way up a little bit higher. Now you notice that I've taken the mosquito net off the hammock here, just to make life a little bit easier. So let's get into it and see how it feels. All in all, really happy with these pieces of kit, especially the underquilt. Seems to provide a lovely bit of warmth. Good pack sizes on the tarp. Quilt takes up quite a bit of room, but probably going to be worth it. And again, that hammock is quite big with a fair bit of weight to it as well. All in all, looks great in the garden, and I'd be excited to take it out into the woods. Thank you.